Today we're going to discuss childhood ambitions. My name's Alan, and Rusty's with me. Together we're going to be talking about what we wanted to do when we grow up. A lot of people around my age, I'm 50, they wanted to be cowboys and astronauts.
Hey, I wanted to be a cowboy too. I got over that stage. Go ahead.
Astronauts are kind of a thing of the past.
I would love to be an astronaut now. Yeah.
Why?
Because I'm more interested in like space and stuff now than I was when I was younger.
That's true.
So
the aliens and all that stuff.
Well, not aliens. I laugh about that, but I'm not serious about that.
Yeah, I never wanted to be an astronaut. I just didn't. I wanted to be a pro wrestler.
Mm-hmm. I can vouch for that one, and I would still like to be a pro wrestler, but
my body wouldn't put up with it. But I mean, you know all that stuff about me. Having a wrestling ring in my backyard with a belt that we made out of, it was a weight belt.
Right.
And I took one of those little aluminum things. What was it called?
Magic marker?
No, because we didn't have any stuff.
Tinfoil?
No. I mean, it was actual metal, and I took a deal and wrote on it.
Oh, solder?
Not solder.
I don't know.
It's like you can write in metal with it. It's like it vibrates.
Oh, the engravers.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I had an engraver, and I engraved it.
Okay. See, you were more advanced than I was. We had cardboard.
Screwed it into the belt.
I had cardboard and magic markers.
You had to be strong to be the champion. It would hold up.
Right.
Because it weighs like 20 pounds.
Very good.
But that's what I wanted to do. But back in my day, we didn't have little guys. So I just never really thought I'd ever be one unless I got to be big. So I lifted and stuff, but I never lifted enough to be big.
Right. Well, as early as I can remember, I guess the first thing that I wanted to be, you said the cowboy thing, but I think every kid goes through that stage at one point or another, wanted to be a cowboy, especially when I was taking the Tweetsie Railroad. And, that was the thing. The cowboys were the good guys, and the Indians were the bad guys.
Yeah.
So,
I wanted to be Tarzan for a while.
I can honestly say, yeah.
You never wanted to be Tarzan?
No.
I used to watch Johnny Weissmuller.
Yeah, the original Tarzan.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'd go out in the yard, and I had a sidewalk, and I'd pretend like that was one of the Shilling Grooves.
Well, let me tell you, and that's just it. That's kind of what I was going to get to, and my 2 cents on it, as far as what kids wanted to be when they growed up. I think television pretty much dictated that.
Yeah.
I know it did for me. I can remember I went through my phase of wanting to be a truck driver.
Yeah.
because of BJ and the Bear, Greg Avigan. I thought it'd be the coolest thing ever to drive around with a monkey and sleep in your vehicle, going from place to place
with a monkey.
Yeah, I mean, and to me, I was going to drive a truck, and I thought that was the coolest thing. And it even went to the point to where, and I think I've told you this story, I'm going to share it with everybody here. My grandma, who lived with us at our house, she kind of had her own she had her own room, and she had her own furniture and everything. And I would go to her room, sit on the back of a chair, and look out a window, and it looked like a perfect, tractor trailer. And I always sit there pretending like I was driving a truck. And one day I got the bright idea. I was looking down, seeing the outlet, and I was like, "Wow, that would make a really good ignition." And so I don't know what was going through my head. But I tell you what was going through my body in about 5 minutes, because I took a pair of tweezers and stuck them in there. I remember the lights kind of dimming a little bit. It didn't throw a breaker or anything to my knowledge. It might have. I was probably about 4 years old. And I remember looking at those tweezers, and it welded them. They were like curled on the end, like the wicked witches that used to, the house dropped on it or something.
The TV thing, and I was thinking about, I wanted to be a cop.
Oh, I went through that too.
And it was because of TV.
Was it Chips for you?
Well, no, it wasn't Chips. When I was young, TV was nothing but police shows.
Right.
And so me and my friends, and we lived in a neighborhood, we'd play guns.
Right.
And before we played, we'd all get in a circle and decide who we were going to be. And I mean, it was like the rookies, Gunsmoke. I mean, you never said you were the person. You were like, I'm Gunsmoke.
You were Gunsmoke.
You never Matt Dillon. You were Gunsmoke.
Okay.
And the rookies, I'm the rookies. And me, I would run. When we run around playing, I always had to do the theme music while I was running around. I liked Dan August. Burt Reynolds was a show called Dan August. And he was a detective guy, but I would run around. I still had that was the theme music. And that's what I would do when I'm running around the house.
You run around.
And then, and then we'd argue because I'd go, I shot you. And they said, yeah, you missed me. And we'd spend 15 minutes fighting over who shot you. But actually, a couple of my friends, one of the boys I grew up with, he's not a boy anymore, but he actually became a state trooper. And I was wondering if maybe that's why he did it, because all of our TV shows were cop shows. I mean, there was none of them.
Yeah, I'm trying to think back. I mean, either detectives or cop shows, I guess, because we had Starsky and Hutch.
Yeah, Starsky and Hutch. I said Dan August. There was Cannon. Nobody ever wanted to be Cannon.
Why would you want to be Cannon? That's like wanting to be Kojak.
Yeah, nobody ever wanted to be Kojak.
Though I probably resemble him more than I do Eric Estrada.
Yeah, I'm Kennedy in my own right. I can't. I was trying to think that there was a ton of them, and I just can't think of them now. But I mean, that's all we ever did. There was Mannix. Yeah. Mannix was one that somebody was always.
There was also Get Smart.
Yeah, nobody ever wanted to be Maxwell Smart. But we did that, and then as I got older, and became a Christian, I thought I wanted to be a bodyguard.
Well, I thought that was also when you wanted to be a wrestler too, because you had the.
It was, but I mean, it was a little bit later on after.
What was your name going to be?
The Masked Evangelist.
Yes.
Yeah, I had a mask.
Throw Bibles to the crowd.
Yeah, I was going to hit people in the head with the bad guy. You know, I was going to come in, whip them in the ribs, and hit them in the head with like a big family Bible. And then I had my move was going to be the crucifix.
Crucifix, yeah. Well, I mean, it would have worked.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. But I mean, even when we had the ring and stuff, I didn't do that. We always did the same thing when we were in the ring. We always pretended like we were somebody else.
Yeah.
You know, I was always Bruno Sammartino or Dusty Rhodes or somebody.
I never wanted to be Dusty Rhodes.
I just thought he was cool. Yeah, big, but.
Right. Well, he was cool, but I just didn't. You know.
But I had 5 or 6.
I wanted to be the Road Warriors. Big guys.
See, they were
after your.
My era of wrestling, there weren't so many big guys, like muscular guys. It was just big,
I guess not.
Naturally big men kind of guys.
Well, Jimmy Snuka was pretty big.
He was. But, and he was fast, too.
Don Morocco. Well, Superstar.
Don Morocco. Superstar Billy Graham was the icon at that time.
Right.
But I wanted to be a bodyguard, and I even looked up a school in Colorado that specialized in bodyguard training, how to drive cars and all that stuff. And I was going to be, back then it was Jerry Falwell was the big controversy.
Oh my gosh!
And I was like, I just wanted to be a bodyguard for somebody.
Right.
That was very controversial. But
okay.
And I didn't.
Yeah. See, if I were a bodyguard for somebody that was really controversial, I would be a poor bodyguard.
You'd let them get it.
Oh, absolutely. I'd be fired from the first day of the job. Sure, have at him.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
No, we and then I went from that to being a pastor. So.
Right.
And that was my primary goal. I went to school and came out youth pastor for a bunch of years, and then was actually a school teacher in a Christian school, and then went back to pastoring. And I work at Lowe's. It's a plug for the hardware store.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well.
So it didn't quite work out the way.
Well, it never does. I mean, I didn't have a clue. Honestly, in high school, I didn't have a clue. Well, I did have a clue as to what I wanted to do. But, it was to be a professional musician. And, no, it didn't work at all. And I remember one of the teachers telling me, You know, this you saying, and this was like my senior year, somewhere around in there. What are you going to do with your life? I thought, I'd like to be a musician. She looked at me straight in the eye and said, well, you have to be really good for that. I'm like, well, thank you very much. But, yeah, after that, I really didn't have a clue as to what I wanted to do. And I went to college and, you know, I got my degree in computer-aided drafting. And I've done absolutely nothing with it. And, you know, like you, I've ended up at Lowe's, which is, you know, not a bad gig.
No.
Fun people to work with. And we're going to try to get some of these people on this show that we work with. If you're listening, if you have any ideas or anything that you want to add to the show so you can bring it, please do it.
Yeah.
Anybody.
Or even ideas for the show. We're trying to just kind of branch out and talk about, and this topic actually, as I got to looking, there's actually a lot of people who talk about this. I thought it was going to be something that's going to be pretty original, but a lot of people on YouTube and Yahoo and all that stuff talking about this stuff. But I mean, we're going to talk about some crazy stuff from time to time.
Oh, really crazy stuff. And to see it, when we first started this is what I was going to go with. I mean, it all started with Bushman's Hole.
Bushman's Hole in South Africa.
Yeah. And you tell your story.
Yeah, Bushman's Hole.
I don't want to get you off your subject.
No, that's okay. Bushman's Hole is I listened to NPR, and this young man, it's the sixth deepest freshwater hole in the world, and a lot of divers go there to dive. And this 19-year-old kid was diving, and he died. He was at the bottom, and they couldn't find him. It's so dark in there that it's just pitch black. So you got to have a light all the time. But they couldn't find him. He was down there for 2 years. And then these two other guys that were friends, older guys, they went down, and the one guy when he got to the bottom, he found the boy, and he was stuck in the mud, and he was still in his wetsuit and everything. He's half skeleton, half body, I guess. Yeah, still in the suit. And so he came back up, and he told everybody he found him, and went to the young man's parents and told them that he promised them he would get him back. And he came back, and he went down, and he ended up dying. And then a couple of days later, he floated to the surface, and the boy's body was hooked to his. But anyway, we got to talking about Bushman's Hole and how deep it was, and not knowing.
Yeah, and this kind of is what sparked the argument.
Yeah.
When you said that you were telling me how deep it was, and you said you could fit the
Eiffel Tower.
You could fit the Eiffel Tower in it, and I really wasn't that impressed because and in all honesty, and looking back now, I see why. I know why I was thinking what I was thinking, because I was thinking in terms of salt water, I guess, in the ocean.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I guess the Eiffel Tower, and there was another thing. I really didn't even know how big the Eiffel Tower was.
We had to look that up.
We did.
Like 800-some feet or something.
Yeah, and 800-some feet. But at the same time, I'm thinking, you know, that's really not, it's deep, but, and then that's when we kind of stopped and looked at each other and said, why are we arguing over something?
And then the other guy came in that actually dove.
Oh, but actually, he was a diver.
Yeah.
And he thought it was kind of interesting. But in freshwater terms, I guess that is pretty deep. But yeah, and that's kind of how we got the idea. Just one of the things we'd like to do is have people actually come on here and talk with us about things they know something about that we don't.
Straighten us up, which is
pretty much everything.
This is kind of the beginning of it, and we'll see how it sounds and how it relates and stuff. But the more people we can get involved, the better it will be.
Right.
That's been the fun of it, is when we talk about different things, we're talking to people, and people come in and who know what they're talking about, and kind of blow us out of the water.
Oh, I'm sure. And it won't take much.
Yeah.
In my case, anyway.
We have some folks we want to get. We want to talk about some bees. like honeybees and ghosts and just different stuff like that. There's that sounds so interesting, doesn't it?
Okay. Yeah. Honeybees and ghosts.
Honeybees and ghosts.
Well, I mean, and that was just an example, because there's people we know, people we've talked to that we're trying to get to do this with us. And, you know, I just want them to, you know.
I'd like to do some, in the midst of stuff, some Christian topic stuff too. And
right.
Some not so Christian topic stuff, I mean.
Well, I think we could go with that from what we're going right here, and hopefully you were leading more into that. And I kind of got you off the subject, and I'm sorry, but I just thought, I was trying to explain what we're really doing here, which I know.
Yeah. Well, but yeah. We kind of almost had an idea.
Yeah. We're just going to...
Kind of like the Seinfeld.
Yes.
Show about nothing, but...
That's right.
Really something. We're just not sure what.
Right. But you were talking about the dreams, and this is, I mean, you becoming a pastor and everything was nothing that you really envisioned as a child at all, was it?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I thought what I would do is I'd be a youth pastor for a couple of years, and I'd grow me some big youth groups. And people would love me so much that I'd get asked to fly around the country and stuff and tell people how to be better at being pastors and youth pastors, do seminars and trainings, and write a couple books.
Oh.
Yeah.
You want to be Joel Osteen?
Almost. Sort of, kind of. But,
cross between Tony Little and Joel Osteen.
Tony Little. Yeah, what was that other speaker guy? Or, he wasn't a Christian guy, but...
was he a fitness kind of guy?
No. He was a business guru guy. But on to that topic, too, I could do that for a living. I know that I probably sound stupid here, but, I mean, just to be a public speaker.
Right.
I like to be in front of people. I like to...
Well, and I think this is one of these things. We're starting now, and we'll get more comfortable. If you could see us right now, when I came here, I had the microphone and everything, and I really didn't have it set up.
Like you said, a videotape.
No, it's stupid, man. It's like, I know I look ridiculous because we're sharing like earbuds rather than studio headphones, which I do have, but the problem was we're doing it through this computer, and it's just, I don't know, not really adequately equipped to, we're not more prepared.
Kind of prepared. We were prepared, more prepared than we were last week.
Well, we were more prepared than I thought we would be.
Yeah.
And last week, it didn't come to pass, and I'm glad it didn't.
Yeah, me too.
Well, there was a lot of stuff going on. But anyway, get back to your story about the...
So, I mean, that's where I wanted to be, and I thought I was on my way, and ended up at a church in my hometown, pretty big church, and things just didn't work out there, so I ended up in the Appalachian Mountains, where I come from. They say the Appalachian Mountains. Appalachian.
No, it's Appalachian.
I know. But ended up there, and I've been here for almost 15 years now.
Right.
And been working at Lowe's for 6 years, and associate pastor of a little church here. And that's where I'm at. It's not bad, but it's nothing what I dreamed it would be.
Well, and that's, again, getting back to where we were.
But that's what when I was looking at people online talking about it, most people haven't done.
No, and that's kind of when I was hoping we would get some people calling in to let us know whether they actually, are doing what they envision, what they would do.
Because I think when we're little, we tend to think big, which isn't a bad thing.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? But as we get older, pressures of the world and all that kind of stuff kind of crunch all that stuff down for us. But I mean, there were a lot of people that I was looking at, they said they wanted to be doctors, but ended up being nurses, which is nothing wrong with being
Not at all.
No. And firemen, which ended up, working at Best Buy.
I don't think I ever wanted to be a fireman. No, that's most little boys want to be firemen and stuff like that. or big heavy equipment operators or something.
Yeah.
I did want to drive a tow truck one time.
Yeah. Did you ever do it?
No. I don't think. No.
Now, there's a lot of things I've done here that I never thought I'd ever do.
I rode in a tow truck.
Rode in a tow truck? Yeah. Yeah, well, my car broke down.
When I got rear-ended once when I didn't have a way.
Yeah. Yeah, there are a lot of things that I've done here that I never thought I'd ever do. Like lasso a horse that's in heat. That didn't go so well.
What?
I tried to lasso a horse that was in heat.
Where?
It's the ranch behind our house. It was the horse stable behind our houses. The horse, it was a young male horse. What do they call them? Young male horses. And he was trying to get to my daughter's horse. And she was out there, and I was afraid she was going to be trampled. So
oh, you all had a horse?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I went out there with a rope, and I was...
Because we were both talking about how much we didn't like horses.
Yeah, I don't...
Not that... I mean, I'm just not comfortable around.
Yeah.
And I never have been. Well, there was one horse we had when I was growing up I was comfortable around. But we never did ride her or anything like that. And she was really gentle. But man, she had a colt. That thing was freaking crazy.
Well, that's how Abby's horse was like that. It was like, she was like 15 years old, you know what I mean?
Right.
She probably had arthritis.
She wanted to chase you, she couldn't.
Yeah. So this other horse was trying to get to her, and Abby was out there crying, and I went out there with a rope, and I was winding this rope up like I was a Lone Ranger. And then I realized, if I lasso this thing,
yeah, what then?
I'm going to die.
Yeah. So
I didn't, and so I just kind of pulled her horse, and she took it and ran away with it, and then it jumped the fence.
Right.
Like the young one did, cut his chest all off and ran away, but I locked him in the thing over there. So that's one thing. And then Christmas trees.
Uh-huh.
I mean, pulling Christmas trees out of the field and...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, you know...
That was a piece of cake. But...
No, it's not. It's because it's like when they're on hills, especially, you know.
Well, mine wasn't even on hills. When I worked them, it was a flat...
Not me, buddy.
And it was only a couple hundred, but they were...
Yeah, Dad had a few. Dad always dabbled. He dabbled in everything. From cattle to trees to tobacco.
Yeah, tobacco.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a thing. I mean, there's a thing, people smoke tobacco, obviously, up north, but it's not an issue around here.
Right.
But yeah, there's some things that I've done that I've never thought I'd ever do. That's a couple of them. And cows. Yeah, chasing cows. And cows can be kind of scary.
Cows are very scary.
It was raining out, and Penny, my wife, she said, "There's the cows. This cows got out, our neighbor's cows." And we went out there, and they were out in the street, and I was going, ah, ah.
Oh my goodness!
They were running at me and stuff. And I was like, oh. And we finally got them back into the gate.
Right.
I was like, as I was out there, both of those things, that and the horses, I was like, it was like a year and a half we'd been here, and I thought, who'd have thought 2 years ago?
Yeah.
That I'd be chasing cows.
It's almost like a culture shock thing, isn't it?
Or horses,
Well, you know, I grew up on a farm, and I grew up around cattle constantly, milk cattle and dairy cattle and beef cattle. But yeah, the beef cattle were not as friendly. Dad had some Angus. And those cows were mean, man.
You think it's because they thought you knew they were going to get ate?
It could have been. But I think the dairy cattle got eaten too. Yeah. I think it's so. Yeah.
And then they kind of run its course.
Yeah, he stopped doing that, and then we went to beef cattle. And there was this bull. Oh, man, I remember that bull was so mean. And it was just a little one. The Angus, I mean, they're not that big. But, my gosh, that bull, I was scared of that thing.
They thick?
Yeah. The bulls are just mean, you know. But I mean, I grew up around all kinds of animals.
I grew up around dogs and cats.
Well, we had a goose that was kind of run around the house.
We've talked about geese. Geese.
And a lot of people are scared of geese.
The thing with geese they are birds from the hood. I'm telling you, man. And when we were in college, you know, we'd go down to the lake and the ducks would come up. We'd be sitting on the blanket having, you know, lunch, and it'd be all fine. And we'd throw them a little thing, and then you see them coming across.
Oh, yeah, every one of them.
And they're all swimming across, and they come up on the land, and all the ducks scatter, and the geese are like, they're circling around me.
Right.
And they're looking at me. I mean, they look at me, and I'm like, get out of here. You flap out of them, they hiss or whatever, flap their wings. We had one that was, it was funny, we had a little boat dock, and there was one that would hide by the tree, and people didn't know. I mean, we'd sit up on the hill and watch, and when people came down there, it was guarding a tree. I guess it was a maiden tree or something. I don't know. I have no idea.
A mating tree.
But whenever somebody would go into that tree, that goose would come out of nowhere, hissing and flapping his wings, and we'd sit at the top of the hill and laugh. And geese, I mean, they're birds from the hood. They're not. We're way off topic.
Yeah, I know. I'm thinking the same thing, man.
I mean.
No, and I knew this would happen.
Yeah.
Because this is kind of how it's going to go.
Yeah. Maybe we'll hit on something. And
yeah, well, I mean, you come and take a look, and that's the joke with our conversations. You got to look at what
go around the world.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but there are the things and I'm working up sites on a bus. We use.
That's when you're driving the bus.
No, when I was driving a bus, I actually blew an engine on the bus, and one time it was freezing, and I hit the windshield, and it cracked and fell out.
The whole windshield?
Yeah, it was one of those. Talking about the short buses.
Yeah,
I hit the little short bus, and I hit it, and it just cracked and fell out.
Cool.
And I stalled out on the railroad tracks with the bus.
That
was awesome.
Is awesome.
That's a Christian school bus.
Right.
That we're just right on the tracks. It's just.
Man, that's like an urban legend waiting to happen right there.
So, I mean, we a lot of. We could do a whole episode of my bus stories. Oh my gosh.
That would be good. Yeah, I remember you telling me the one of when you were in downtown Philadelphia.
Was it Washington?
Maybe it was Washington.
Washington D.C.
Yeah.
Which one?
The one where
it's been a bunch of.
Yeah, I mean that's what the dude.
When the guy wanted to get on the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just wanted to get on the bus because one of our Christian kids gave him the finger.
Oh my
and he
gosh.
stepped up on the bus, and I told him to get off, and he kept coming, and I said, "Stop, man! Get off my bus!" And
wow.
He did it, but yeah, that was a little one. That wasn't. Again, I could just go on buses. Me and buses don't get along very well. School buses, vans. There's little charter bus things.
Charter buses.
Yeah.
Greyhounds. Vans.
Volkswagen buses.
Volkswagen buses.
I mean, I've had tires come off. Buses catch up on fire. Tires come off more than once.
Never had a tire come off.
Brakes.
Yeah. Exactly. Wow.
Well.
Yeah, it's about that time.